Here goes. I can't find any information out about this entity. I'm trying to reach out to see if anyone else has come across her. A few nights ago, I had a dream. I was having a sleepover with a good friend. She was asleep under the blanket. I look at the end of the bed, and there's this long skinny shadow with long wild hair. She reaches out and grabs my ankles and pulls herself up and kind of wraps around me and hisses in my ear. I woke up and she was crouching beside my side of the bed and reaching toward me. She was so tall she reached the ceiling, even crouching. She was very thin, with long arms and long claw-like fingers, shadowy skin, long black wild hair, black eyes, and most importantly and disturbing, a grinning mouthful of long pointed teeth. I started punching and screaming. At first, she grinned wider and then disappeared. My partner woke up to me punching and screaming at my side of the bed. The next day, I texted my friend that was in this dream. We're both sensitive, but she feels and sees things stronger than I do and has a very level head. I also knew that she had seen a similar entity a few years ago in a different part of the city. I sent her a sketch, and she confirmed it was the same entity that she had seen. She sent me a painting that she'd done of it, and it scared me so bad, I could barely look at it. Normally, she has an answer for things, but this thing, it scares the hell out of her too. It was around 2 a.m. last night, and I was getting ready to fall asleep. And suddenly, this loud humming sound came out of nowhere and scared me. I looked all over the street to check for the source of the hum, but I couldn't find it. The hum was loud and kinda low-pitched, and it lasted for about 7 minutes. Maybe it was an atmospheric anomaly. It could have been HAARP doing experiments again. Maybe it was a new military prototype. I have no idea. The sound was similar to one I heard in a YouTube video in Russia 8 years ago. I don't think it's the hum that everyone around the world was hearing, because that sounded more like a trumpet. This hum is more low-pitched. I took a video. Earlier tonight, my mom and I were sitting on our front porch, smoking a cigarette and chatting. I see a glowing light in the sky, so I pointed out to my mom, and we both honed in on it. Both of us were in awe. Our jaws dropped at how stunning the light was. What was so odd was, it was very similar to a flame in a lantern, like the fireworks people set off. We sat there for over 30 seconds, again, completely in awe, and I'm shocked because it looks like a lantern with a flame in it, flickering around, but still hovering in one position. I pulled out my phone and turned on my camera and started recording. It immediately changed, and my mom and I were even more shocked when the lantern's flame turned into a spinning circular orb, not even 2 seconds later. And the orb immediately shoots up from its previously hovering position. Probably about an hour or so later, I took the video at 9:45, and the time is currently 11:30. Our power goes out. It is yet to come back on. There's sirens going around our neighborhood like crazy, but no one, and 2 of our neighbors are outside with us, have seen them at all. I immediately heard ringing in my ears when I went inside, and my dog began barking in the kitchen. As I went by the stairs, a small bright orb grabbed my vision out of the corner of my eye. I looked over and up the stairs, and I saw nothing. I wonder if all of this is related. This story is from a coworker at a hotel I work at. We'll call him Jay. The third floor is our haunted floor. There have been complaints of noises in empty rooms, lights turning themselves off and on, showers starting on their own, phone calls with no one on the other side, and so on. This happens on the second floor as well, but not as frequently. On the third floor, there's one room in particular that gives everyone the creeps, and that's room 301. From what I've heard, there have been 3 major things that happen in this room. The first is hearing voices. When Jay went in to clean the room one day, he heard a man and woman arguing, and quickly apologized and closed the door. He then remembered that the room had been vacant for a day, and went back in. The TV was off and no one was there. Creepy, but he chalked it up to his brain playing tricks. The second thing that happens is phone calls. A phone call with no one on the other side, and guests complain. Jay thought it was our front desk and answered, only to be met with static. It rang 2 more times while he was there, and the system showed no calls to the room. The third major experience is seeing a woman. No one has ever completely seen her, just her arms and her bright red nails. She's always walking away from where you're looking, and almost everyone that cleans on that end of the third floor has seen her. When we try to think of the reason that room 301 is the worst, we think about all that's happened. One guest that stayed in the hotel went missing, and her husband was investigated, but nothing ever came up. Another guest came down for his daughter's wedding and ended up in the ER from a stroke. Another guest had a massive heart attack 30 feet from the hotel at a church and died. This room is usually seen as bad luck. When we need a place to stay in snowstorms or anything like that, we try to stay on the first floor out of superstition. I've cleaned that room and had things happen to me, but nothing too serious. We try not to think about it much and usually steer clear of that room unless absolutely necessary. So I'll start this off by saying, I've always been deathly afraid of aliens. Ever since I was a young child, I couldn't watch alien-related movies without having awful nightmares. I was also very afraid of seeing their faces in the darkened windows of my bedroom in the cold Alaskan nights. I also used to have a lot of nightmares involving either being abducted, seeing a ship hovering in my backyard, or even seeing aliens themselves. They used to feel so real and vivid, yet I convinced myself that it was just an overactive imagination of a smart child. Well, something clicked deep inside of me after reading up here on other folks' encounters with the other kind. Something very primal and very real. I realized these stories and details matched up hauntingly close to my nightmares. It was incredibly frightening to have such a familiarity with the description of the Greys. I then gained a memory that I had long forgotten or dismissed perhaps. I remember waking up in the middle of the night, unable to fully move my body, but I was moving, walking, and at too fast a pace for a small child, if that makes sense. I remember things moving by and happening very quickly, and I was inexplicably drawn downstairs from the 3rd story of our house. It wasn't sleep paralysis, and I've never since felt that fast-forward sensation again. I couldn't seem to snap out of it either. I'm not sure where to go from here, honestly. The memory fades out as I'm leaving the front door. I don't have any solid timelines for my experience either, as this all happened to me before the age of 8 or 9. I apologize if this sounds stupid or made up, but I had to reach out and see what y'all think.